I'm going to walk you through my car emergency kit and what that medical kit loadout looks like and what my specific module is. And I have some very unique items that I don't see a lot of people have that I think you're going to find interesting, and you might want it for your own kit too. The first thing that I think is very non-standard is this life vac. I bought a pack of 3 of these. I keep one in my car, one in my wife's car, and one in home under the sink. And one of my favorite things about this is it helps with anybody when they're choking. These have different sizes, and the way these work they're kind of like a plunger for your mouth. And I'll just open it up. It comes with 2 mouthpieces, depending on whether it's a child or whether it's an adult. And then I will go ahead and open up just the one so you can kind of see what this looks like. This is the mouthpiece for the adult, and then it has the back component, which is the plunger that goes directly into this on the other end. Just slides right in. There is a one-way valve right there. So when you plunge in, you put it over the person's mouth, you plunge it in, and it creates a suction, and you pop out. And that is a great way to be able to get any type of choking hazard. I don't know why, but most people don't have good options for choking, and this provides a self-choking. You can use it on yourself if you're choking, and rather than like a Heimlich is pretty hard to do. It is more effective in a lot of cases because you can actually get at it and pull and use that suction force to get somebody who's choking. A lot of people are preparing with water and food and making sure they have plenty of those. But what about whether you can actually breathe in the first place? And I don't know about you, but I've seen plenty of people choke. So it's a common thing, and some of them are pretty severe. I have children, so this is definitely something that I like to keep nearby. And because I have it in my vehicle, my wife's vehicle, and at home, there's almost no times where we aren't relatively close to one of these being available for us. And this gives us a ton of peace of mind. Let's say I'm at a restaurant, I can run out to my car, grab this, help someone out, make sure they're breathing. My grandma was having some pretty severe choking issues. She would choke very frequently as she got older, and having this nearby was another thing that gave a lot of peace of mind. Out of everything I'm about to show you, this is probably one of the most unique elements that I think that you should buy for your medical kit. Now we can go into what is more inside my full medical kit. I will be having a patch on here, so it's a little bit more noticeable that it is a medical kit. But let's go ahead and open up this pouch so you can see the different components. I have this broken out into common things that I would access, more of a boo-boo kit. I have a trauma kit in here, and other miscellaneous things that may be more applicable that I need to toss into my get-home bag. And this is how I'm structuring it, so it's easy to get access to everything. Just everything I've learned from backpacking and any other types of trauma kits that I think that I'm prepared to use. One of the things that I think is useless, if you don't know how to use something in your medical kit, then you're not going to be effective in utilizing it ever or think to use it, that you have it available. So everything in here are things that I'm very comfortable with using, that I've either researched and watched videos on how to treat patients and do different types of first aid. I've also been certified and recertified a number of times on first aid when I was a lifeguard. But even without that, you could just YouTube different videos of how different medics are using these tools and for different scenarios, like how to treat a gunshot wound. A lot of people have trauma kits. Are you very familiar with exactly how to treat it and when you should use a one-way valve chest vent versus using a compression strap? So very important to get to know how to use all of these. As I open this up, this has many different compartments here. Down here, I have different types of wrist wrap. This is more of a foam wrap, and then this is a self-adhesive bandage. One of the things that I like about this that I find is really common is when I have a gauze pad, when someone cuts their head, it's in their hair, it's kind of hard to get a Band-Aid up there. So what I'll do is I'll use a gauze pad and then use one of these bandages to kind of wrap it around the head, self-adhesive, so that it can hold it in. And it also doesn't have any stickiness to it, which makes it so that your hair doesn't get pulled when you're trying to change the bandage. Same with something on the chin. My toddler had a really hard time getting Band-Aids and keeping them on there, but this helped wrap it around, protect them from scratching and pulling at it. It was really nice. what I ended up doing is I have a bunch of these little tiny bags, and I wanted to make them more usable. Rather than having this be a really large roll, which it was originally, I separated them out into individual bags, wrapped them up, and this is more for like one single use. It's also easier to get back into my bag and fit into each one of these components, and it's just easier to use. Now, on the back pocket here, I've got a ton of different gauze pads and things like that, just really easy to look at. So lots of different individual gauze pads that are more for minor wounds. I also have gloves pre-packaged up individually. These are smaller, but those I do have similar ones for myself in here. We're going to have things like alcohol wiping pads, different gauze rolls that I think are pretty useful to use. Let's see what else we got in here. I do have like my little boo-boo kit pre-built here, so I've got the different Band-Aids. I really like these I think they're called Wally Band-Aids. They're fun, but they're really sticky and work well. This is more of my common grab, different Band-Aids, sizes for your common boo-boo kit, but really having lots of different gauze pad sizes. I think I chose 2 gauze pads of each size that I keep in here. Getting crazy overstuffed with gauze pads doesn't make sense for these types of kits. I'm not in EMS. I'm not going to be on a lot of scenes. I'm not anticipating coming into like a 10-car pileup and being able to treat everybody before ambulances get there. This is enough to treat a couple, 2, 3 people based on different wound levels. I'm not going too crazy on this. Another thing I've got here is this tape. I've just got medical tape here. I've got antibiotic ointment. I like these individual packs more than anything because I'm always using them for my boo-boo kit too. And they're really nice. You can get a pretty large bag of different of these individual packs, and I just go restock and refill each of my med kits across my cars and house too. That's pretty much all that is in that particular location. Then I also have quick access to my trauma kit. That's this part on the top. So I've got my tourniquet. I've got larger, thicker gauze pads. These are going to be able to absorb. These are heavy absorption pads. I got 2 of those there. Got an Israeli compression bandage. And then I've also got right behind that, I've got 2 of these hyphen vents. I got 2 of them, entry-exit wounds. And this is going to be more for gunshot wounds. If I come up onto some scene and I need to treat a gunshot wound, that I have been able to just go through, make sure I understand how to do just first aid when it comes to gunshot wounds. That's why I have the compression bandage, those vents, some other gauze pads. And obviously I could dip into my other gauze pads over here. And then I've got my compression strap and tourniquet there. So that's what's in that main compartment. And then we'll kind of go into the other half of this particular kit and show you what I've got there, because that's where I probably differ from some other people too. Right here, I've got it real easily accessible. This is my CPR mask, so I don't have to go digging for it if someone's not breathing. I want it really easily accessible. Just pop at it right there. And I do have some more space to put things in this main section. I'm mostly using this compartment, and then there's this zipper pocket that I have a lot of things stuffed. There's definitely room to improve. I've got a small little scissors. I will say I do plan to upgrade this scissors to make it a much better one to be able to cut open garments. That is one that I'm going to update there. I've got some tweezers. I also have, this is often one that's forgotten, a Sharpie. Making sure you have a Sharpie, because as soon as you are putting on that tourniquet, label the time. Make sure it's labeled for when you applied that tourniquet, because you can only have it on for so long before your leg or your arm is at risk. I also have one popsicle stick. This is just for simple sprains that I've got that tape. I can, say you jam your finger playing basketball, you can make a simple splint out of this. I've done that many times using popsicle sticks. Probably one of my favorite easy splint technique. If you hurt your wrist, you can also use it to help stabilize it by putting it here and then wrapping athletic tape and different wraps that I've got in here around that just to help stabilize it so it's not moving as much. Just a couple ways to do that. I only have one popsicle stick because I've got so many popsicle sticks in our basement. So if there was somebody that I treated, I would just restock it. Some of the things back here that I just keep for day-to-day things within my med kit, I've got 3 hand warmers in here. If someone's cold or in shock, I need at least I have some option. I have a roll of duct tape, a small kind of compressed roll. I've got a little bit of hand sanitizer. And one reason I have that is because I've got a little bit of roll of toilet paper. This is, let's say I was had a get-home bag as well. I'm just going to plop as many of the things I think I might need, like toilet paper, and that's hand sanitizer. This is a very similar thing I do when I go backpacking. I take out the toilet paper roll, I put it in a bag so that it doesn't get wet, keep some hand wipes in there. I also have just tissue papers for blowing the nose. Common thing when I'm out and about, if I run out of tissues in my car, and it's, I get wintertime here in Wisconsin, I need to blow my nose. And then a little bit of sunscreen, just a small amount of it. Those are kind of my non-standard, maybe they're standard for people to have in their vehicle somewhere. I like to have it all grouped in my medical kit. I do a very similar thing when I go backpacking. I have all those things in the same little ditty bag. Then in this zipper pocket, I have some chewable painkillers. I've got aspirin, especially if I come across somebody that has having a heart attack. And then I've got some normal ibuprofen. This is more for me so that I don't have to use aspirin for normal aches and pains. But I'm trying to cover across the board. If you don't have chewable tablets, you should get some chewable tablets for painkillers. And you're not going to have that liquid stored in here. Just give yourself options, because you might come across someone who isn't able to swallow whole pills as well. Kind of going in this a little bit farther here, I've got some other kids' Tylenol. This is stuff that you just mix within a beverage if you're really having someone have a hard time with the chewables. And then I've also got a little bit of this off bug repellent. This is so if I'm just coming to a bonfire somewhere and I just forgot stuff, it's just all here related to medical, keeping it here more than anything. And another thing that people often forget is some eye drops. So I put some eye drops. My dad actually can't produce any tears, so he has to live on eye drops. So I've got so many of these around from my dad. He just had a kind of a Bosch laser eye surgery like 20 years ago from that. Got some anti-diarrhea medicine in here too. Some cough drops, a little bit of burn cream. And again, all of these are organized, so I just keep my whole bag organized, and I'm not having to find where the duplications of, and I'm keeping all of these nice and tidy, easy to access, easy to be organized, and just quick and easy to put back into, making sure that you have a bag that there's plenty of empty space where I can actually zip it up. You can see what I'm doing right now. I'm taking everything out, and I can still zip this up easily. And that is something that sometimes you almost make it hard on yourself to want to stay organized if you can't make it easily accessible. That's pretty much everything that I have in my medical kit. My emergency car kit has many more related things, such as water bottles and other types of emergency and survival supplies. So this is how I organized them and separated out what I'd qualify as the medical elements to my car emergency kit. But again, I think the biggest thing, if people could take something away from this whole video, would be to have something like this life hack to be able to help when someone's choking. It's a common thing, and I think more people should have it. So hopefully you took something of value out of this video. So go ahead and subscribe and comment some of the things that you maybe thought that I maybe missed for this medical kit, because I like to learn from all of you too.